I made the determination where the height is going to go. Okay, so it's going to be about 6 or 7 inches lower. That way she can reach it and pull it out easier. Seems as though we're putting up a new flag. We've got to put up the new bracket. Okay. I'm just going to take a nail set, and that's going to mark the stucco. I just want it marked before I do anything else. Now, I could have taken a little nail there, or even a drill bit could have done it. I got my 3 marks there. I'm going to tap a little bit more on there, just a little. I don't want to do too much because I don't want it to crack or anything. Now, if you don't have a nail set, you can use a nail. I got here's just a little sheetrock nail. And see, I'm through the stucco right there. That's because it's that thin stucco. If it wasn't, this nail would have bent already. Wow, not very thick at all. Now you see why I couldn't use those plastic anchors. They would have just rocked in there, and when I put the bracket up there, it would have eventually started falling this way and would have ripped right off. Now at this point, I'm just going to take a shorter screw and put in there. If I didn't have a short screw, I could use a drill bit or something, but I want to make sure that I can go through it all the way. See that? Regular stucco, you could not do that. I'm saying regular meaning 30 years old. 30 years ago, that regular stucco. And as I'm putting these screws in, I want to put it in at an angle, because remember, there's a 2x4. It's right in there. If I put these two straight, I could miss the edge of the stud. Okay, so I'm just going to put this in at an angle. That. Do the same thing over here. I'm just using a shorter screw, so it's not as hard to keep it nice and straight. With a long screw, you could do it with a long screw too. Okay, now that I got that, I can actually take my long screw that I'm going to install there. Ooh, cool car. Okay, I'm going to take my long screw here and go in there and try to hit the stud. See, I got her. Do that over here. Now this is a 12-volt operated, battery operated drill. It's not very powerful, but it's doing the trick, fortunately. If not, I could take a drill bit and run those in, but you don't have a drill bit that's 3 inches long, do you? Now I lucked out. I went into the garage, and you remember these screws here are 3 inches. You remember the one that broke? Voila, I found one of these. This is only 2.5 inches long, but I'm going to use that for the screw that's straight in. So hopefully it'll be long enough. Let's see if it is. Oh, and the tip. Here's a tip for you. The tip of it is slightly bigger than my Phillips tip here, and I've got interchangeable tips. You can get a little magnetic holder like this, and I've got interchangeable tips. Whenever you get something that's starting to strip on here, just use your bigger tip if you have one, because if you don't, you're going to strip this head out before you get it all tight. Okay, a nice little tip for you. Let me find that. I'll be right back. Of course, I just happen to have a tip that's just a hair bigger, and it fits on there nice. That's sweet. All right, we're just gonna put this in first. Now it's holding, but I could tell it's just barely holding. And when I put this bracket up here, I'm hoping that this is going to be long enough. So I'm going to try that now and see, because if it's not long enough, I'm going to have to find another screw for that, right? I guess it's in. It's not in there very far though. But it's in. It's in. The reason why I want that one in, because that's where most of the weight is. That's the pivot point. Okay, you've got to get that in. If I had a longer screw, I think I'm going to put it in there if I can find one. That's going to suffice for the time being though. And this charger, now see, I got to change my little tip because the tip is too big for these other screws. Why do they do that? Or why do they do such a thing? I haven't had my battery. I haven't had this charged up a little bit. 12 volt. Hey, if you're going to get a hand-operated, battery-operated drill, get the 18 volt. That is a recommendation from Joe. Don't get the 12. Very lightweight. You can do way more with the other one, the 18 volt. I'm going to have to get a little Phillips hand screwdriver and tighten those babies up. I don't have much further to go, and so I'm going to do it by hand. Just going to go back and forth a little bit and then tighten her up. Okay? That'll help it go that last little oomph. Now these screws, if you have an 18 volt, let's say, or one that's charged up all the way, once you get it tight, and if it hasn't sunk yet, and you think you're just going to ram it in that little bit, just remember what you saw right here. Okay, this snapped off, and you can snap those off. Let me tell you, I've snapped those off before, and because it's such a small hole and you don't have much room for air, once that snaps off, it's hard to fish and finagle another one in there unless you readjust this entire thing. Okay, and I'll bet you that's why they left in the old one, and they thought nobody will ever know. Joe found it. Now see this top one, look, it's just spinning. That's because it's a 2.5 inch screw. Had to go through the stucco, which is maybe a 1/4 inch thick or so, this type of stucco, and then it's got that foam board back there, and then it's just barely hitting into the stud. So you know what, I need to find another screw for that. That's no good. When you're putting these in, if you get one that's spinning like that, it's one of two things. Either you've drilled a hole too big or pre-drilled it too big, or it's not long enough, or you've missed the stud. Okay, 3 things. Okay, so I'm going to look around for a longer screw and see what I can come up with.